We have a 5,000-pound winch to install on the front of an ATV, but the mounting bracket is missing, so we need to get one made. That's what we're going to be doing today as we go along through the process of making a mounting bracket, installing the winch, and then possibly playing around in the mud a little bit. But that's what we're doing today here at the house. We have a 2018 Honda Pioneer, 4-wheel drive, with a dump bed. Very nice. But first things first, we need to see if this new winch is even going to fit.
Okay.
Oh man, just fits.
Yeah, looks like one of the bottom.
Now using a tape measure, I'm just going to try to get a basic layout of how this thing is going to look. I spent a long time sitting under here staring at this thing to come up with these real fancy measurements I have here. So what I done was laid it out on a sheet of cardboard and then cut everything out with just a pair of scissors. Because one thing about bending and molding plate, if you can't get it to work with a little piece of cardboard, you sure ain't gonna do it with a piece of 1/4-inch steel. So after I laid out the cardboard, I went back over to Jason's house and stuck it on there and made sure that it was a true fit and that it was gonna work before I went any further. Just getting the cardboard laid out took 2 days. Adding a gusset on the back side of this angle iron will give this a lot more support. I use an old block of wood as a straight edge when I'm cutting with a plasma. I prefer that over a piece of metal, say like a aluminum level, because when you're running it down the side, your little brass piece there wants to stick to the aluminum, but it doesn't stick to wood, so that's why I prefer a little old block of wood. Being able to use this iron worker is nice. It sure beats locking this down in a vise and trying to heat it up with a torch and bend it with a big crescent wrench or beat on it with a hammer. This makes it almost a little too easy. Drilling holes in something is, it's not too bad. But being able to punch the holes out through a piece of plate, now that's better. Have I already mentioned how nice this thing is?
Definitely leaving that in the video.
I'm adding 2 gussets on this bracket. That's going to add a lot of extra strength also. But after I get done welding, I walk it over here to the paint booth and put a quick coat of paint on there. And then I'm going to hang them up to dry. So now, if everything works right, this piece of angle iron will go on right here. And then the bigger bracket will bolt onto the angle iron and these 2 bolts up here at the top. Something like that. So let's see how this is gonna go. Now don't let WD know that I'm using this stuff to break these bolts loose. But one thing I can say about this stuff, it smells like cherries. It's not the most manliest smell when you're out there in the shop, but I can say if you come home smelling like this stuff, your wife's gonna wanna know who you've been hanging around with. Alright, so I tried one impact and then another, and then bolts was just laughing at it. They were not gonna come loose. So I had to go a little old school on here and use a pull handle to break them loose. Then I come back with the impacts and back them out. I would like to say that everything lined up perfect and I'm so amazing, but no. I ended up having to drill the holes out just a little bit to make everything line up. You know, maybe I'll get it next time. But the holes I put in the plate to mount the winch with, those did line up perfect. If you're thinking to yourself, it's not sitting straight, it looks crooked. Well, that's because it is. Tire's flat on the driver's side. Putting the wires on is easy. Harbor Freight has thought of everything. You just match the colors, yellow to yellow and blue to blue. Even the solenoid is color coded. So coming over the front of the hood In the back is a little storage box. This is where the wires are going to run through the bottom to the winch. We're going to mount the terminal strips in there, also the contact block, or the solenoid, depending on where you're from. Mounting the solenoid in that little box is very tight, not a whole lot of room. So to start a pre-drilled hole, Jason had a great idea of just heating up a nail until it's glowing red hot and just melting one through there. Looks like it worked to me. That thing got a manual clutch for release.
Yeah.
Does it like that?
Yeah.
You don't have to push a button?
No, turn this right here.
Oh,
Like a hub on the truck.
There's two bolts at the top that hold the brush guard on. There's one down here at the bottom, and it did not want to line back up. I had to get a little persuasive using a big hammer, but it eventually went. We wanted to pick this thing up all the way off the ground and just let it hang there. But unfortunately, that size oak branch just isn't up to code for this size Honda. So hanging this thing up really didn't do it justice. It was a nice test run, but it's time to take it out and see what it can do. Now, we hadn't been out there riding but about 10 minutes and we already come across people stuck in the mud. Don't even know who these people are. We're like, hey, y'all need some help? They're sure. We'll drag you out. Worked great. But then we ended up pulling ourselves out of the mud 3 or 4 times. We got covered in mud and we had a blast. Because without the winch, you're kind of leery and you drive around the mud, but once you put the winch on there, you become fearless. You're like, bring it on. But y'all, we had a great time. Putting the winch on this thing was a great idea, a great investment, and we had a blast playing out here in the mud. But like always, thank you so very much for watching here at the house.